Hello, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for August 21st, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 234. There's a lot of 4s and 2s, all that kind of stuff. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com along with my co-host, the sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Welcome to Non Sequitur News.
Today we're going to be talking about giant water walking spiders, 7,000, is this how the day's going to go? 7,000 missing pancreases, for a lot of people apparently. A generative AI flaw hunter, 787 jets to be inspected, not 787 jets. SpaceX launching
that matched with the pancreas thing.
Maybe all in one and the same. SpaceX launching 4 people to radiation belts. Gold bars now worth $1 million. Biolab in South America. Bad bat. The Mpox cargo ship quarantine. A 1,000-mile commute by Starbucks. Thank you for those lattes. And a VR experience spawns a lawsuit. That and more. All right, folks. Let's just get straight into it. No more preamble. Let's just go. The first article is over on the Mobile Channel. Giant water walking spiders are surging in numbers across the UK. The little article says, well, it's not a little article. I think it's over at Vice, but it's coming from the Independent. It's becoming a far too normal occurrence these days. Larger versions of something terrifying growing in numbers. Yeah, I'll look around. Anyway, the latest is the fen raft spider, one of the largest arachnids in Britain, also known as the Great Raft Spider. In 2010, fen raft spiders were on the cusp of extinction. Now, thanks in part to conservation efforts of the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, the RSBP. I have to say it like that, the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds.
You know what raft spiders aren't?
Bad bats? I don't know.
Birds.
They're also not rafts. Hey.
They're true, but it's not the Royal Society of Protection of Rafts.
So a record number of up to 3,750 female fen raft spiders are surfacing in marsh ditches across 12 different sites in Norfolk and Suffolk Broads. That's rude. Why would they call? Never mind. In the UK, according to The Independent. So, Kyle Filippi over at Vice.com put the article together. Hold on, I need to stop something. Hold on.
You need to stop the giant water walking spiders?
I need to stop the giant water walking spiders. Did I put this into the show notes? Oh, don't tell me I didn't do that. No, doggone it. I knew I forgot to do something. I did not put it into the show notes. So that's okay. It'll be in the show notes after the show. So take note. It just won't be in the VOD. So anyway, we have a list of all of the articles. They're always in the show notes for the video over on YouTube and the podcast. So be sure to download both of those and follow us and ring the bell and like and subscribe and make a comment, tell a friend. And if you have to grab somebody off the street, do whatever you have to. Anyway, Kyle Filippi over at Vice.com put this article together. Years ago, the fen raft spiders were on the brink of extinction. There's one on your screen. Hit it with your newspaper. No, don't. They're on the brink of extinction.
No, wait a second. That's against the effort here.
That's right.
And you should cheer about ohmTown if you like it. Tell a friend.
That's right. Tell a friend. Don't hit the news. Don't hit the monitor with newspaper because ohmTown is on it. It'll hurt. You know, and all I have is this, my moneymaker. And that's why ohmTown is considered a... Never mind. So what exactly are these rare spiders, and should you be worried? Yes, we should. They can grow to the size of a human hand and produce a web that measures 25 centimeters or nearly 10 inches. Admittedly, they pose no significant threat to humans with a bite that would leave a mark, sort of like a bee sting. Well, that sucks. And they're quite shy, so they're more likely to run away anyway. Still freaky, though, according to the article. But
Might cause some trauma to people who are afraid of spiders.
That's right. Oh, so I guess I shouldn't scroll up and go, hey, look, a spider. If you're afraid of spiders, warning, spider.
We need a button for that. Spider alert.
Spider alert and spoiler alert. And hopefully I don't hit the wrong one at the wrong time. Because people are like, I'm not afraid of spoilers, spider. That's okay. Moving on. Next article is over on the Marble Channel. The case of nearly 7,000 missing pancreases. Yep. This one is a wacky one. Oh, you know what? I guess I could do this. No, I can't. Hold on. Let me see if I can do that. Can I throw that into... Let me throw it into the chat. There we go.
I'm a little worried about the pancreas article because I do not know where that's going.
Okay. This is old school, by the way. I used to not have the bot do that. I posted the articles into the thing, but the Omatron doesn't have the right information right now. Anyway, so the case of nearly 7,000 missing pancreases. There are some mysteries that the author fears they'll never see resolved. Who was D.B. Cooper and what happened to them? Who robbed the Gardner Museum of its Vermeer and Rembrandts in 1990? And most pressingly, where are the thousands of pancreases taken out of Americans' bodies in 2021, 2022, and 2023 that were never transplanted into anybody? So let me back up, is what the author of this says. Pancreata, the correct plural form of pancreas, not pancreas.
Okay, isn't that interesting that is spelled out in the article? Because everybody reading it is like, what is a pancreata?
Pancreata is what I have in the morning when I make a mistake or I decide to actually make a design. It's a pancreata. Now that I know what it is, I'm very afraid that I've ever said that to anyone. So anyone out there that I've ever made breakfast for, and you know who you are. When I said, I'm gonna love eating this pancreata. If you spoke Latin, I'm sorry.
I think you need to banish that from your breakfast terminology.
All right. But it's a pancake creation. Why wouldn't you merge it? It's much more efficient to say pancreata. No? All right. Well, anyway, they're one of the organs you can't live without. Without one, you don't have insulin to regulate your blood sugar or enzymes necessary to digest food. So what happened to all of these? Dylan Matthews over at Vox.com put the article together. Organ companies are getting up to pancreas hijinks. So pancreas, right, is the merging of creation and bread. So it's bread creations, right? Pan and...
Don't ruin food with this article.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to take it somewhere. I just don't know where. And since you don't know where it belongs, I'm just running. So all these donated pancreata come from dead people who register as organ donors. And in the U.S., we outsource the job of collecting this to private groups called organ procurement organizations. If anyone is going to be doing something for NaNoWriMo, this article should be feeding the beast. Each OPO has a monopoly on organs in a particular geographic region. Really? They're McDonald's for organ recovery?
Okay, that is so problematic, and I don't think that's widely reported.
Okay, this article is fodder for NaNoWriMo. And it's right around the corner, folks. You better get your engines revving. Don't write a damn thing, though. Just keep it all in your head, because right when NaNoWriMo kicks off, you start writing. I might actually do that with this. This is just delicious. I mean, what? I mean, you could just gobble up all the content in this. What? What? Am I saying something wrong?
You're using too much food terminology.
Oh, don't pan me for this. I'm just being creative. Yeah. For some time now, independent analysts and investigative reporters have argued that OPOs are underusing deceased organs by the tens of thousands. One reporter from 2019 estimated that for every 28,000 usable organs, like kidneys, but also pancreata, hearts, livers, etc., from deceased donors that are never used, another put the number at 75,000. And this, when the national wait list for organs is more than 100,000 people long, you run into a problem. See, but there's a lot of complexity here. It has to be type matched. It has to be fresh. It can't sit there and be hanging out in a microwave. I don't know anybody else that does that. I mean, that's where I store my pancreata. Anyway, OPO contracts with the federal government are quite lucrative, which means OPO executives have ample reason to fight hard to retain them. So, the birth of the pancreas loophole, which I was diagnosed with a pancreas loophole.
Yeah, that sounds like a medical condition.
Whoops. So it asked OPOs to tally the total number of deceased people 75 and younger with causes of death compatible with donation, and then estimate the number of deceased donors each year as a share of that total population, and the number of organs actually used as a share of that total population. The denominator was now something that OPOs couldn't tamper with. That meant, hopefully, that they'd be judged solely on how many organs they'd recovered and transplanted into people, on how many thousands of lives they saved. So, while OPOs couldn't muck with the denominator anymore, they could still muck with the numerators. Being a donor generally means that your organs are used in a transplant, but there's one carve out for one organ, the pancreas. A narrow 2004 law allows researchers running clinical trials to conduct transplants of islet cells. I don't know how they pronounce it. They probably pronounce it islet. Islet cells, the part of the pancreas that produce insulin. It might be islet. As a potential cure for diabetes. Because of that law, OPOs could recover, quote unquote, pancreases or pancreata for islet cell transplant research and get credit for recovering more organs under the new rule. Fascinating.
So that's interesting. So the numbers are way up for what they're recovering, but they're not actually available for implants.
They're delivering them to research. Yeah, but the federal government never asked for any proof that these organs were part of any FDA-approved research. And there goes. They can taint the number because they can just say it's being researched. What's weird,
right? Why don't they just explicitly exclude anything taken for research or something, and not just for pancreas?
Or they have to declare it, and any research has to declare that they've received one. I mean, the paperwork is pretty damn clear, and it's not like academia is devoid of the processes of receiving goods. You know, at one point I was given a challenge coin, and I was with somebody that said, you know, you have to declare that. Yeah. Anyway, sure enough, the total number of...
Did you have a response to that?
No, I couldn't because of their particular position. So you just kind of smile and nod a lot like the penguins. Anyway, the OPOs labeled as for research grew from 513 in 2020 to a whopping 3,238 in 2023. The number of donors whose only recovered organ was a pancreas designated for research grew from 25 to 429, according to Organ Procurement and Transplantation Network. That's an overall tenfold increase in just 3 years. Was there technological innovation that facilitated this? The article doesn't say anything about that.
Well, all I can think of is that something unusual was happening during that time frame.
Yeah,
not
wild.
related to pancreases.
The pandemic?
Well, they were suddenly doing a lot of new research efforts during that time, but I don't know if that has any connection to it.
Yeah, I don't know. So Washington Post, Lenny Bernstein, is written about in this Vox.com article, who reported that there was no sudden surge in need for pancreases in research projects. So that puts to bed that. And the sentient AI from the future is having an issue.
Definitely having a glitch over here.
Yeah. But they're back. So, indeed, if you look at the small handful of medical centers that are using research pancreata for islet or islet, damn it, I'm going to have to just find a conviction and use it. So, islet cell transplants. You'll find that there were only 24 transplants conducted in all of 2023, 22 at the University of Chicago Medical Center, and 1 each at City of Hope Medical Center outside LA, and the hospital of the University of Pennsylvania. So,
what's the takeaway here? If you need a pancreas transplant, you better live in Chicago.
Yeah, damn straight. So the waiting list for people needing just pancreata is barely 800 people. That number should be 0 if these organs were better allocated. Where are they? So this article continues on. It's a little bit longer, but I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm not going to read the whole thing verbatim. Go over and check this out.
Always has these really in-depth articles, and it's definitely worth a full read.
Yeah. So where are nearly 7,000 missing pancreases, says Dylan Matthews. Moving on. Next article's over in Reality Hacker. The U.S. government wants you, yes, you, to hunt down generative AI flaws. Should I?
Do you think there will be like an Uncle Sam poster for this?
Yeah, only you can stop generative AI flaws. And it's going to have like a digital bear. Huh. That's actually, that might be a really good shirt. And I could do the art using generative AI.
Oh, very meta.
So AI ethics nonprofit Humane Intelligence and the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, aka NIST, are launching a series of contests to get more people probing for problems in generative AI systems. The article is over at wired.com. Oh, I didn't log in, so I don't know if it's going to... Anyway, Lily Hay Newman over at wired.com put the article together, and the deck statement is what I just... Oh, look! Oh my god, look! They even have the little...
Okay, that's really funny. That's a Getty, so it's not necessarily for this specifically.
No, not at all. But they chose cover art for what I did. Only you can prevent forest fires. Or like federal government says that they want you.
That's a riot.
That's awesome.
We had not looked at that in advance.
So at the 2023 DEF CON Hacker Conference in Las Vegas, prominent AI tech companies partnered with algorithmic integrity and transparency groups to seek thousands of attendees on generative AI problems, or platforms, I should say, and find weaknesses in the critical systems. This quote-unquote red teaming exercise, which also had support from the U.S. government, took a step in opening these increasingly influential yet opaque systems to scrutiny, which I think that should actually be, there should be red teaming. So for those who aren't involved in cybersecurity or, well, there's a whole host of where red team, blue team kicks in. So, but red team is basically a team of professionals that are designed to attack some system, either physical or cyber or anything really. Like if I were to get a bunch of editors together, they could red team a book and as one unit just grammatically destroy it, right? And that's the objective.
Right, yeah, it doesn't have to be in the IT context, but I think that's where we see it most frequently in the news and everything.
Yeah. Then there's the blue team, which is designed to harden a system and protect or defend against and mitigate and resolve any issues that the red team might present during and post the attack. And prior to it, the blue team hardens the systems. And I won't keep with the editor analogy, but then there is a blended team, which is called the purple team, which has all of the skills of both. And those are typically contractors that get hired by people, and they know both of the ins and outs, and they think like the blue team but operate like a red team and do penetration testing, and it's pretty neat, and it's a lot of fun because you can do what amounts to criminal exercises without going to jail. Give it a shot. Go to school.
Right, that's a legal way to do it.
Yeah, because the only way that you can actually hack with impunity of a system is either with permission from the company, and it has to be overt, documented. It can't be something, ask for forgiveness kind of a thing, like a bug hunter program, or if you are working for government agencies where you have agency by way of being an employee of the federal government. Anyway, by contractor or otherwise. So on Wednesday, a group announced a call for participation in the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, inviting any U.S. resident to participate in the qualifying round of a nationwide red teaming effort to evaluate AI office productivity software. Basically, see if you can tear the bumpers off of AI and have it produce something like the plans for a nuclear weapon or something like that, which people have done by proxy by saying, hey, I need a nuclear weapon, and the bumpers say no, and then somebody said, well, describe it in terms of creating a chocolate chip cookie, and then it did. So.
Oh, wow. Well, I was going to say that sounded like fun until you mentioned the nuclear weapon.
It's all fun and games until somebody pushes the button on a tactical nuke. So the qualifier will take place online and is open to both developers and anyone in the general public as part of NIST AI challenges known as assessing risks and impacts of AI, or ARIA. They work really hard to get an acronym. Participants who pass through the qualifying round will take part in an in-person red teaming event at the end of October at the Conference on Applied Machine Learning and Information Security, or CAMLIS, in Virginia. The goal is to expand capabilities for conducting rigorous testing of the security, resilience, and ethics of generative AI technologies. So, hold on. That was today. So today they called for participation. When is the actual?
Yeah, I don't know. It must be pretty soon because of the final event being in October.
Yeah, there's a link here, but it's through LinkedIn. So.
Okay.
But you can find out more by following the links that are in this Wired.com article. And again, we just don't go through them all. Okay, let's keep moving. The next article is over in Non-Sequitur News. Hundreds of Boeing 787 jets are to be inspected after an incident where a plane suddenly dropped and injured 50 people. LATAM Airlines Boeing 787 suddenly dropped 400 feet during a March incident. I think we may have talked about this or something
I'd
similar
have to
to this.
know if based on the location, but it does sound familiar.
So hundreds of Boeing 787 Dreamliners will need to be inspected after an incident that injured dozens of passengers. In one incident, they found a person in like the luggage compartment.
Yes, that was from turbulence.
From turbulence, yeah. I don't know if it was an adult or what, but it was a human. And they're like, no, just leave me up here. I'm safer.
Right. Or maybe it's comfortable up here.
Yeah, just close it. Right. So the The LATAM Airlines jet suddenly dropped 400 feet in March, injuring dozens. Investigators found the captain's seat, which had a loose switch cover, involuntarily move forward. So that's the one that we talked about where the the flight attendant went to serve food and hit the switch. That's a powered switch on the captain's seat, and it shot it forward, and it caused them to drive the plane down or something.
Right.
Yeah, and we talked about this. Pete Sim over at BusinessInsider.com put the article together. Yep. Pretty wild, right?
I mean, if they just said the captain's chair, we would have known exactly which incident it was.
Yeah. So, in a Tuesday statement, the Federal Aviation Administration announced that it was issuing an airworthiness directive for certain 787 jets. Any plane that has that switch in that location is probably due for a refit. And maybe they'll find some bolts missing there too, or they can use some of the extra bolts.
And it seems like they keep having an incident with one model or another, and then they're like, oh, we're going to look into this. I don't know about you, but I think we've seen enough instances. Maybe they need to be looking at all of the models before waiting for something to happen with the next model.
See, but what's weird is that it hasn't been going on like this forever. It seems like it's only in the post-pandemic era where like the fit has been hitting the sheen. But
exactly.
That said,
but what's going on? Like, are they not maintaining, or are they, I don't know, are they not inspecting the initial design? I mean, something is off.
Hello, whistleblowers. That's, whistleblowers started coming out, and lo and behold, it's almost like they knew something was going to happen. Plus, you can't get rid of old planes without, a few cracked eggs. In an April preliminary report, Chilean investigators said the captain's seat experienced an involuntary forward movement, and the report included pictures that showed the switch cover was loose. Neither bad weather nor turbulence played a role, it added. Citing unnamed officials, the Wall Street Journal reported that a flight attendant may have accidentally hit a switch on the pilot's seat, activating a feature that pushed him toward the controls, which pushed the plane nose down.
That's a feature, not a bug.
Intermittent feature. Moving on. This next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Let me post this into the chat. Sorry, today's episode might be a little long. SpaceX is launching 4 people on a risky mission to fly a risky mission. It's like a risky click. To fly through radiation belts and do the first commercial spacewalk, one of which may turn someone into Dr. Doom. Someone else might turn into one of the other Fantastic Four, but who knows? Who would like to be, what's her name? Invisible Girl? I can't remember. I can't remember the Fantastic Four. Oh my gosh, I've lost all credit.
I know.
Hold on. I will not let this go.
I'm looking as well. Is it Susan Storm?
Yeah. But she's more than... Hold on. She can like disappear and something else. Build a force field. I don't know what her powers are anymore. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, everybody. Anyway, SpaceX is about to launch a risky mission of 4 private citizens who aren't professional astronauts. Billionaire-backed Polaris Dawn mission aims to attempt... See, all these billionaire fever dreams. This is what we're doing? Okay. Anyway, they want to fly through the radiation belts and do the first commercial spacewalk with non-astronauts.
And why is that a really good idea?
Because when they come back glowing, they won't need any light sticks. And when they grow an opposable tail, they'll be really good with having to deal with the Starliner, I suppose. Morgan McFall Johnson over at BusinessInsider.com put the article together. New spacesuits and flying through a radiation belt could also help advance Elon Musk's Mars dreams. Please send Musk to Mars. That'd be fine. I think we're all fine with it. So their mission called Polaris Dawn was drawn up and funded by fever dream billionaire Jared Isaacman, who is acting as the mission's commander. Wow. Okay. I'm sure there's a lot of other subject matter experts that are going to be making sure. I liken this to being on the freeway, and I had a conversation about this today. Really bad drivers out on the road. The only reason why there haven't been more accidents because of the really bad drivers is because there's really good observant drivers that are keeping the roads safe by getting out of the way of the really bad drivers. I liken it to this.
Right? But this is a whole nother level, right? I mean, this is space travel.
They say
you need to know what you're doing.
Yeah, but everybody knows what they're doing and can pick up the slack. So it's not like, Jared Isaacman is going to be sitting there with a soldering iron. Anyway.
Hey, you don't know. I mean, you got to look at what could go wrong.
Well, remember, there's that one guy that wanted to go out to the James Webb Space Telescope and change a servo out. But he's like, I'm going to fund it, but I want to be the one that does it. No, Go away. Shoo. Adults are speaking. Shoo. We're really starting to push frontiers with the private sector and learning new things that we would not be able to learn by staying in the risk-free environment here on Earth. Bill Gerstmeier, who is a SpaceX president of Build and Flight Reliability, said in a briefing on August 19th, yeah, I'm sure there's some NASA engineering, education, money, policy, procedure, practice. Everybody in the private sector is standing on the shoulders of giants, and everybody in the government sector is standing on the shoulders of giants. I think some good-natured competition it should be had, yes, but wow, I don't know. Peeing on your bush, I don't think is the right way to go about things. It's how you end up with Titanic-style dives that collapse. Along with Isaacman, the crew includes, or Starliner, sitting out there in the middle of
too soon.
Along with Isaacman, the crew includes a former U.S. Air Force pilot named Scott Poteet, and two SpaceX engineers, Sarah Gillis and Anna Menon. All right.
I didn't see any astronauts listed.
Yeah, but a U.S. Air Force pilot. I'm sure that's a private individual as well, not trained by the Air Force or anything like that. $14 million jet. They're scheduled to spend about 5 days in space, soaring further from Earth than anybody has gone since the Apollo era more than 50 years ago. And then they're going to come on back. They're going to go through the Van Allen radiation belts, which are two donuts of intense radiation surrounding the Earth. And that's a concept image. So yeah, and then it says on day 3, if everything goes according to plan, they're going to do a spacewalk, be irradiated, I suppose, and then come back. Oh my gosh, they're going to be referred to as the Fantastic Four. How much you want to bet? There's 4 of them.
I suspect so, knowing that SpaceX is tied to this.
They're going to be referred to as the Fantastic Four. Dun, dun, dun. Let's see if maybe they even make a reference to it right here. I have no idea, but we're not going to go through this entire article. So the new SpaceX suits, a major goal of the spacewalk is to test out SpaceX's first extravehicular spacesuits, which use new textiles and joint designs for increased mobility, and the suits will feature a heads-up display in the mask, which shows the wearer real-time information about the suit's internal pressure, temperature, humidity. All of that kind of stuff is liquid-cooled. I believe they're still liquid-cooled, but the ones that are on the ISS right now were supposed to be used in a spacewalk, but they froze up before they left the outer door.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good that they did it, I guess, in time, but yeah, that's not good.
Yep. So your suit becomes your spaceship, is what they say. So Good luck to them all. There was a toilet malfunction aboard the Dragon. They talk about other things in this article, but
And was there any time frame on this? I don't think so.
I don't think they mentioned it just yet. Oh, yeah, and we're at the end of the article, so I don't think they say. Yeah, I don't see an actual date. Let's scroll it back to the beginning and see if it's up there. No.
I mean, because that's a pretty significant move for civilians.
Yeah, it doesn't say, I don't think. August 19th is when they said it in a briefing, but maybe they have it somewhere else. Just says as soon as Monday morning, it says SpaceX is launching its most daring mission yet as soon as Monday morning.
I was thinking this was quite a ways down the road, but okay.
Yeah, I guess they don't mess around. Let's keep moving. We don't mess around. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. Gold bars are worth $1 million for the first time. I had the privilege of trying to pick up a gold bar, and I was able to, but it was only $1 million. So, and I would have had to get it out of a mint.
Out of a container.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it was in a container.
Broadly, yeah.
It was in a container, bolted in a way that it would be impossible to get it out of the container without destroying the container with like explosives, and then have to get it out of the building. And everybody around me was armed, so to the teeth. Plus, I have this moral.
Rather exciting.
Plus, I have this moral compass about taking stuff that isn't mine. So for the first time, a single gold bar is now worth $1 million. The milestone was reached on August 16th. Did I say February? No, Friday, August 16th. I think I said February, August 16th, but maybe not.
I think you did too.
A time travel machine is really... The time machine's messing with my head a lot. So the milestone was reached on Friday, August 16th, when gold prices passed $2,500 per troy ounce. A standard gold bar is 400 ounces, so $1 million. Gold shot up in value recently by more than 20% in just 2024 alone. So why? Gold is inherently limited supply, although here on Earth, it's in abundance in other places. So it's famously seen as a hedge against inflation, and that's just perceived value based on what it's used for. So if we find some other solution. Central banks, especially the ones in China, have been increasing their gold reserves for months, reducing their dependency on the US dollar. Add in the expectation that the Federal Reserve might lower interest rates, and boom. Greedy bastard. So Luis Prado over at Vice.com put the article together. The deck statement says your jewelry might be worth more than you think. Yeah, I guess now's the time to start melting down some jewelry. If you come up with
but
400...
only yours.
Huh?
But only yours, right? Like you can't go find somebody else's and melt it down.
Well, you could. It's a criminal act, but... Anyway... gold analysts think the wild passion for the stuff will continue for a bit since economic conditions are still a little shaky, even if things are looking up for the most part. If you're one of the few who had been hiding some gold bars in a mattress or a hollowed out Bible, now would probably be the time to take them to a local pawn shop so that they can stare in bewilderment. Oh, by the way, they have to say looking up for the most part. Well, it was reported today that the economy, the federal economists reported close to 700,000 more jobs than actually were delivered. So the unemployment rate is actually a different thing. Yeah. In fact, I don't have my reference, but I could have told you, but it is in ohmTown as well. I just didn't include it in the rundown because things
aren't as rosy as they might be reported.
Yeah, because you can report numbers all day long and they're not necessarily accurate. You have to do some due diligence. But let's move on. The next article is about a biolab in South America. First biolab in South America for studying world's deadliest viruses is set to open.
Have we learned nothing?
Construction is underway for a maximum security Brazilian facility. All right. Which will face cost and regulatory hurdles. Meggy? Is that their name? Meggy Rodriguez? Put the article together. It looks very much like the Apple donut spaceship. Apple One.
It does. Maybe it was modeled after that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of bad. But anyway, the construction site of the maximum level biosafety laboratory Orion lies next to a circular synchrotron facility at the Brazilian Center for Research in Energy and Materials. So I guess right here is where the biolab is going to be. And here's the synchrotron.
No, I mean, we just have learned nothing.
No. So the need for a biosafety level 4 or BSL-4 laboratory in Brazil is unquestionable, says Flavio Fonseca, a virologist at the Federal University of Minas Gerais in Belo Horizonte, Brazil. We have seen the number of epidemic, even pandemic outbreaks increase in the last 100 years. So of course, I guess that equates to Brazil should have a level 4 biolab.
Exactly. Like, who hasn't, right?
I suppose if it gets stopped at the Brazilian border and you do all of your own research, then hey, that's great. But guess what? One flight and the virus.
Exactly. Are we going to shut down all international travel?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, you got to do what Madagascar does in every single biohazard epidemic kind of a game. You shut the flight down. Yes, I changed that word.
Yes.
Anyway, the lab dubbed Orion is being constructed at the Brazilian Center for Research in Energy and Materials in Campinas, about 100 kilometers northwest of Sao Paulo, and is scheduled to be completed by 2026 and operational by 2028. It will also host lower level biosafety labs, including BSL 2 and 3. Oh no, why does that look? I mean, it looks like a picture of the synchrotron, but it's in the article once again as the biolab, but that's the synchrotron. Anyway.
Interesting.
So having a BSL-4 lab in Brazil could mean more autonomy for the country's science, Fonseca says, allowing researchers to study local pathogens and develop treatments domestically rather than traveling to labs elsewhere to do research and then queuing to receive diagnostic tests and vaccines. So 5 hemorrhagic fever-causing arenaviruses, which can be studied only in BSL-4 lab, have been detected in South America. In particular, Sabia virus was first reported in Sao Paulo. So, yeah, I mean, I suppose if they're a hotbed of level 4 biosafety problems,
right,
then...
But are we even hearing about those separately? I don't know that we are.
Yeah, I guess not until... If you're in the domain, I'm sure you hear about it, right? But... What? Anyway.
I mean, it's just like it's deja vu.
Everything, well, they even mentioned SARS-CoV-2 were spotted in Wuhan, China, where researchers at the Wuhan Institute of Virology were studying coronaviruses gathered from bats. Hence the reason why Mayor Watt always jokes about bad bats. It's just a coinky-dink that the virus shows up in a wet market just outside Wuhan Virology. Just a quinky dink. Anyway, cost of the lab been point of concern. The Brazilian government is investing $1 billion or about $180 million into Orion's construction, which seems a little light, but there's no doubt about the need for the laboratory of this kind in Brazil. Yeah, right up until, you know, there's some feature that's acquired because somebody left a door open. And then Timmy walks out with a bad bat. All right.
Well, yeah, I mean, this sounds good, but what could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? I
I
don't
mean,
know.
what might we have already seen?
2019, 2020, 2021, 2022 would like to have a little discussion with, I don't know, biosafety. Moving on. Next article, Speak of the Devil. Non sequitur news. Mpox update as cargo ship quarantined over infection fears. An entire crew will be quarantined until the results of the studies are available, health officials in Argentina have said. Oh my
I
God.
didn't know it was actually connected to South America because I didn't read any of the snippet or anything. But I found this interesting because we saw a bunch of like cruise ships quarantine and everything during COVID, but I think this is the first time we've seen a cargo ship quarantined, and it's obviously from a newer.
Ick.
Is it a virus?
It's
a virus.
the monkeypox, right? I think, yeah, it's a
Right.
monkeypox, yeah. So the article is over at newsweek.com. Pandora Dewan, who has a great name, put this article together. Liberia flagged ship sailing from the city of Santos in Brazil informed border health authorities on Wednesday that one of its crew members had developed skin lesions on their torso and face compatible with the symptoms of Mpox. Mpox, formerly known as monkeypox, drew global attention in 2022 during an outbreak that affected US, Europe, Australia, and many other countries. And the virus comes in two different forms. Clades, I guess, 1 and 2, and spreads through close contact. Previous outbreak in the US and Europe was driven by clade 2 form of the virus and was mostly spread through sexual and intimate contact with men who, well, were getting busy with the infection anyway. However, the current surge in Africa is driven by a new variant, clade 1, also called, I guess, clade 1b, that is thought to be a more severe disease than the previous variant, so keep that away. Anyway,
Well,
last
and
week,
there's been a lot of reporting about Mpox in Africa, but I didn't know that there was another clade.
yeah, so I guess there's two of them actually there's 1 and 2, but this new one, 1b, Mpox, is now detected outside of Africa in Sweden. The Argentine Ministry of Health said that there have not been any cases of the new variant domestically, but that epidemiological surveillance has been ongoing to monitor the situation. Yeah, the entire crew will be quarantined until the results of the studies are available. No thanks. The article continues to talk about it, and in the grand scheme of things, this is like a low level amount of infections. This isn't like even a virulent flu, and it's definitely not like COVID.
Not like COVID, right?
Yeah. But I think the mortality of it is higher as a number.
Right.
So I guess we'll see. If you want to know more about it, follow the link through Hometown over to Newsweek and read the rest of this article. Let's keep moving, because people are going to be spending a lot of money over at Starbucks, right? Your prices might have gone up because, well, new Starbucks CEO will commute 1,000 miles by private jet. New Starbucks CEO Brian Niccol won't have to worry about traffic on the PCH, but he will have to worry about the weather patterns across the country. I'm sure he's not flying at Boeing 787.
You know what I love about this headline is that all these major companies are pushing the return to work.
Right. Well,
Yet the CEO can be remote, you know?
No. He's returning to work 1,000 miles each time he wants to go home. Yeah.
Yeah, but how much is he really going to be in the office?
The
once a
commute,
month or something.
right? Yeah, the commute will be approximately 1,000 miles, and while it may seem silly to us from afar, it will surely be a whole lot less painful than sitting bumper to bumper traffic for an hour to get home. So Kyle Philippi over at Vice.com put this article together too. Brian Niccol, formerly CEO of Chipotle, Chipotle got away with that listeria thing like twice, I think now, unfreaking scathed.
I wonder if it was under the CEO.
It's so bizarre. Anyway, it's like the CrowdStrike of food service. We'll follow Starbucks' work from home policy by coming to Seattle a few days a week. So the guy's going to fly back and forth each week.
I don't get that at all.
The commute will be approximately 1,000 miles, and while it may seem silly to us from afar, it will surely be a whole lot less painful than sitting bumper to bumper for an hour to get home. It also helps that he inked a contract that will see him receive $1.6 million annually with bonuses and equity awards that will see him approach $23 million. The person that wrote this, Kyle Philippi, says, "I'd fly on Spirit Airlines 5 days a week if I were making that amount of coin, wouldn't you?"
Yeah, exactly.
I'd probably figure out a different way of being more effective because that's batshit crazy. The direct flight for Niccol will see him in the air for less than 3 hours, according to CNBC. He'll be expected to be in Seattle 3 times a week, while also receiving a remote office and an assistant in his hometown. This is in line with the company's work from home policy enacted in early 2023, which requires employees to show their face 3 days per week.
Okay, well, maybe I should take my comment back from the beginning.
Well, no. How many other people are getting a flight from Kentucky to
they're
Seattle
not.
and a personal assistant?
They're not, but I mean, at least he's being required to show up. I thought he was going to be like basically fully remote.
Again, $23 million. Give me a break. Anyway, the world is all abuzz about the, not really the world, but some people are taking exception to this and kind of irritated. And I think that the jet-setting CEO comes from Chipotle, where he held the same title that he will with Starbucks, and he had been in that role since 2018. The burrito chain's headquarters are in Newport Beach, which is why Niccol resides in the Southern California city. So he's not going to have red-eye flights. He's going to show up at noon on day 1 and leave at noon on day 7.
Exactly, day 2.5.
Whatever, yeah. They just wanted to make.
He's going to do the coffee badging or whatever.
Yeah, that's what he wanted. He's going to start up a podcast and a Netflix stream talking about Starbucks while he's flying. And finally, our last article for tonight is over in Technology Today. A software firm sues Amazon in contract dispute over Emirates VR experience at Dubai Air Show. A lawsuit.
Okay.
Oh, I know there's a lot to unpack there.
Yes, there is.
Did you want to say? Were you just
no? Let's keep going. But I mean, it's just a lot of things going on.
Yeah. So a lawsuit by s3e234 Holdings against Amazon Web Services cites a segment in the video by popular aviation and travel vlogger Sam Chui as evidence that its work for Amazon and Emirates was not confidential. A VR demo at the Emirates booth during the 2023 Dubai Air Show is the subject of a lawsuit filed by a software development firm against Amazon Web Services. s3e234 Holdings of Alpharetta, Georgia, alleges that AWS wrongly terminated their broader software development agreement and owes more than $1.27 million.
Okay.
The article is over at geekwire.com, which tends to focus on the northwest area of, more specifically like Seattle, Washington area. Anyway, in-depth Amazon coverage from tech giant's hometown, including e-commerce, AWS, Amazon Web, Alexa, logistics devices, and more, is their little deck statement. But the article is focusing on this lawsuit about s3e234 Holdings. The lawsuit, filed August 15th at the U.S. District Court in Seattle, links to a video by Sam Chui, an aviation and travel vlogger with more than 3.5 million YouTube subscribers, to support its assertion that its work was not confidential. The Dubai Air Show included a 1-minute segment at the Emirates booth in which he tried a virtual cabin crew experience using a VR headset. The segment did not reference s3e234's involvement in creating the experience. Chui did not mention by name in the suit and is not involved in the dispute. The suit says that AWS and Emirates logos in the footer did not cite s3e234's specific work for the companies and therefore didn't constitute a breach. After the air show, s3e234 requested compensation for its work on the demo, s3e234 alleges. However, AWS refused, stating that it was a partner effort and that if s3e234 had wanted to get paid for the work, it should have worked that out in advance. Neither AWS nor Emirates ever paid s3e234 or its vendor for any of the work performed on the demo. And they didn't get any credit and nobody said anything?
Yeah, there's something off here. I mean, does the company really just think they're volunteering for this? I don't think so.
Sure. I mean, if it worked for an online magazine, that there's a news organization that was pretty much initially powered by people chomping at the bit simply to get their name published.
Reddit?
No. That too.
Oh, I was thinking of that because of the unpaid moderators.
Yeah. No. What's the name of it? It's named after a reporter. Oh, what is her name? Doggone it. I can't remember it now. But yeah, I mean, in the past, it's been a long time, like 10 years now, that it basically was a blog that was spun up, and then they opened it up to everybody to submit news articles, and they basically powered the site with journalistic articles and only kept the cream of the crop and let all the rest go and never paid anybody.
It wasn't HuffPost, was it?
HuffPost, yeah, it is. Huffington Post. At least that's my understanding. That was the discussion at the time, and Post and stuff like that. So, I mean, let's see. So, yeah, I'd have to pull up it's kind of tough to actually do something concise with that, but anyway, yeah. So in the lawsuit, s3e234 says that it had the potential to make more than $15 million in license and support fees over 5 years from its broader agreement with AWS related to the Emirates work before the contract was terminated, but it was terminated. So I think the problem is that if it was terminated, why was the work actually used?
Exactly. There's something here that's not tracking.
Yeah. The work was part of a collaboration between AWS and Emirates announced last year to create virtual reality experiences for Emirates employees, including crew training. So either you paid them and used it, or you used it and violated some type of contract, because nothing should have been done just for kicks. Nobody spends $1.5 million worth of effort as a pitch deck.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I don't get. The company didn't have any expectation that they were doing it for free, and nor should Amazon have had that expectation.
Yeah. So I'll end this with Todd Bishop is the author of the article over at geekwire.com. I'm not sure if I said it, but might have been lost in the shuffle. But yeah, I mean, there's no reason. I would probably say that they're going to find an agreement out of court so that this doesn't get bigger than it needs to be, because treble damages for something like this in a jury would probably eclipse the initial request.
Well, and the
because
request is relatively small too for Amazon.
right, yeah, it's
If
pretty
it
wild.
doesn't
Yeah,
escalate.
yeah, it doesn't track for me either, but that's okay. I'm not an attorney, and even if I was an attorney, I'm not your attorney. So go talk to an attorney, and that's the best advice. All right, but that's it. We are done. Today's episode is brought to you by an incoming show about brewing called Of the Brew. Probably won't be ready for a real episode and for a couple of weeks. It'll be a bi-weekly show or a bi-monthly. How do we want to define bi-monthly or
How about
bi-weekly?
just every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks. Because actually, I mean, it's going to be an oddball kind of a show because it takes time to brew. And so what I'm going to end up doing is putting together an ingredient list and talking about it, and then showing the process of brewing using a piece of technology called the igloo, which is not capable of boiling. It basically just manages the what's called dry malt extract, or DME, or LME, the liquid malt extract, and hops and yeast, and it keeps it under pressure and processes it and then cools it, and you drink it straight out of it, or you can transfer it to a keg. This thing is drop dead simple, and with a little bit of manipulation, you can do some advanced productions of small batch 1 gallon beer runs. And that's what I will be doing. I'll be doing little micro runs and even using specialty type processes to advance the capabilities of the igloo outside of just basic brew in a bag type of kits. But I won't be doing conventional brewing like boiling hops and building a wort of the conventional style. It'll be entirely extracts. Ta-da! And we'll keep you abreast of the situation now as we move forward. But that first demo batch, it's looking and tasting pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. And with that in mind, we are going to put on our VR goggles, and that's going to snap us back to the front page of ohmtown.com. And I'm not going to refresh because it's kind of scary as it is. No. It's fun. ohmtown.com is a blast. If you want to manage your information overload, go over and check it out. But good night, everybody. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the visualizer for the sentient AI and the voice of the sentient AI for those in the podcast.
Good night, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News. Be sure to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for future episodes.
Yep. And then after this show, I'm going to do the weekly replay, which will include the 21st back, as well as the weekend shows. And there's 6 episodes there's 1 episode of 6 different shows. And then there's going to be 7 episodes of Non Sequitur News in that mix. So be sure to watch the weekly replay if you've missed any of the shows and you don't want to go over to YouTube and watch them all, singleton there. Although we have a massive playlist of like 1,100 episodes for all of ohmTown.
Yes, and you should definitely watch that.
Every single one of them. But don't miss
But
every
take
day.
some breaks. Get some sleep.
No breaks. No sleep. Day 3, you'll hallucinate, but you can work past that. Just with a little ambition, you can. No. Sleep till completed.